What's going on, everybody? It's Jeff here. Welcome back to the channel. All right, a lot of people have been putting time frames around specific events. And in this video, I want to talk about why is it important to take that one step further, that one look a little bit deeper into exactly what is being portrayed to you. This relates to AMC and the entire stock market. I'm going to go over a couple ideas, okay, and concepts that were portrayed to us and why actually putting time frames around specific events can be a very, very bad idea. So let's get right into it. The first thing I want to talk about is this right here, the Evergrande or Evergrande, however you say it, crisis that is currently happening over in China and how it was portrayed to us exactly of them missing their interest payments. If you remember late last week, there was a lot of fear being stirred up in the markets. The VIX absolutely ripped. The SPY went all the way down Friday, selling off into Friday and massive. And then Monday was a massive sell-off right into close. And it immediately got bought back up. And we're already up about almost 4% from the lows that happened. And the reason being is because investors took that one deeper look. They look at the prospectus and they dove into the details. And this is what I want to talk about. There was dates passed around that deadline was going to happen, when very easily it was known that they had a grace period up to 30 days on the interest payment, let alone is the Chinese government going to bail them out. They still have a 30-day grace period. The next thing I want to talk about is the looming debt ceiling and the fact that Congress has never defaulted on their debt. This abrupt halt to federal spending would likely be accompanied by a historic financial crisis that could create global recession. The most commonly cited answer for the continued existence of the debt ceiling is that both parties see the regular fights over raising it as a chance to score political points against their opponents. And that's why you've seen the Republicans state that we're not voting for it and it's all on the Democrats. They're just trying to be able to fight to gain some position going into, the next election. And as you can see, I want to point out this last thing right here. Everyone involved knows that the US won't ever breach the debt ceiling. This was stated by somebody named Jack Schaefer. I have no idea who he is. And he talks a little bit about it. They love to play chicken with each other. However, they never follow through. So when we talk about the fact of, the financial crash that's happening, because of debt ceiling, because of this, and you're putting around those time frames, you take a one deeper look, the fact that this hasn't happened before. Now, if it does happen, I would be insanely shocked. And yes, you will see a financial crash happen. But like I said, your chances of that happening are very, very small. I also want to talk about this one right here, the $3.5 trillion bill. Now, they've positioned this, I've seen numerous times, as a $3.5 trillion infrastructure bill. However, it's really only $1.2 trillion. And it talks about, fundings for roads, bridges, rail, transit, and electrical grid, which is definitely needed, especially I can see all over in Connecticut where I live, and I know other parts of the country. But they try to package it together as a 3.5 infrastructure bill, and that's why there's some opposition going to this, because there's a lot of fluff. And you can go look exactly at what the 3.5 trillion Democratic proposal is. And this is a very, very brief overview talking about a 1.8 trillion for the finance committee, but if you read exactly the details behind this, there's a lot of fluff. And the fact of the reason why the fighting is happening is because they cannot just keep spending money that they don't have. The amount of money that they've continued to spend and the way that our national debt has increased is going at a curve that is just 100% not sustainable. I have a 3-year-old, and we've already spent any taxes that he is going to pay throughout his entire working career, and probably his children. It's absolutely insane. But when we talk about all that looming fear, if you just dive a little bit deeper into exactly what is happening, and it only takes a quick Google search to do that. Now, I want to talk about AMC and how this relates to AMC. I'm going to jump over to the daily chart here. And if you're new to AMC, or if you've been in AMC just, since the $60 range, or maybe you got in, somewhere in July and August, then maybe you don't know everything that happened all the way back after January, that we went through all this consolidation, that rip up to $14 and then back down to almost that $8 level, hanging around the $10 level. But even when we were sitting at that $8 level, the amount of fear and the amount of insistency on the fact that this stock was insanely overvalued when the theaters haven't even really reopened by then, and we already are sitting at currently right now 500% higher. And the thing is that if you got into this play, you understand the fact of doing a little bit of further, research and understanding of why we got into this play and why it's sitting exactly at where it is because you didn't just take at that for face value and you didn't put a specific deadline, a time frame or a deadline around a specific event. And that's when we talk about AMC, wherever it is going to go, there are multiple factors into it. One, yes, I am a technical, investor. I've always have been. That's how I started at, back, over a decade ago. And that's when I look at volume, I look at the relative strength, I look at when buyers are going to be stepping into it, where the momentum is shifting. And that's why it's very important. I never put time frames or price stamps around anything. I've never done that in any of my videos. Okay, and it's very, very important. Now, I'm going to relate this one last thing to an individual stock. And this is exactly what I do every single morning in the plays that I call out pre-market, is I look for plays that are gapping currently, because chances are they're already going to have a lot of volume, and right at the opening bell there's going to be automatic sells and automatic buys from everything that was set overnight, from limit orders, and those algos are just going to be going crazy, as well as active traders trying to build this in one specific position. But this is a stock that came through CAPR, and this stock could definitely rip again, but I'm just talking about this one specific day, and I saw it popping up that pre-market. I'm going to jump over really quickly to just a different time frame, and I will show you that it gapped up pre-market, and I saw it hitting a high of 644. And I think in my notes, it was probably let this get to 650. If it gets above 650, then we'll add to it and we'll go long on it. Otherwise, if it breaks below that 580, I know it 580 was exactly my point. It's just going to slowly sell off all day. Now, like I said, there could be a different news. There could be, just retail volume that comes in on the next day and it buys it up. But a lot of people are like, well, what made you think that? And it's very simple, whether you use a scanner or a news outlet, or you can literally just go to Market Watch at 7:17 in the morning and read this article right here. This is the company. It says they have a phase 2 trial for muscular dystrophy treatment. It meets their primary endpoint. And when you're dealing with a primary endpoint, this is something that you want the FDA to be able to announce, not the actual company. And when you read this prospectus, and I'm not going to get into it, and you read the article, it talks about that they are meeting their primary endpoint for the phase 2 trial. The news is very, very weak on it. If this was news stating that it was a phase 3 FDA approval, meeting their primary endpoint on something that is going to really, really change the course of a horrible disease like muscular dystrophy, where there might not be a lot of medication out there for people who suffer with this, that's news that is going to take this stock to be carried all the way up higher. And it's the same thing, like, for example, a company announcing a partnership with Amazon. It's going to gap up in the morning and it's just going to trail pretty much all day long because that news is insanely strong. If this was also FDA approval for a new migraine medicine, well, there's over-the-counter Tylenol that's been around, or ibuprofen, that Advil, it's been around forever. It's not really life-changing. Even when you talk about, COVID, we have, new positive COVID, results for our testing. Well, Moderna and Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson already have a vaccine that's out there. So you got to kind of weigh exactly what this news is. And this is something that I do every single morning for any of the stocks that I play, but also just with everything that is going on with the market. So I hope this kind of short video just gave everybody an understanding of exactly, one, putting time frames around events and deadlines is just a horrible idea. It sets very, very false expectations. I've tried to never, ever do that in my channel with anything, because you're just going to lead people on, especially if it doesn't hit that, exact thing happening. I try to be completely honest and transparent of my exact opinions of what I'm seeing happening. And I'm not always right, but I also hope this video, you were able to kind of say, all right, you know what? All it takes is just a quick Google search about anything in just a few minutes. Within 10 minutes, you could probably just take that one deeper look, take that one step further. So that's it for this video, guys. I'll see you in the next one.